Sibling rivalry erupts. When cancer diagnosis meets unexpected baby news, who got the spotlight? A bit of backstory. My brother and I are very close, but his wife and I not so much. We've had our fair share of tension. Anyway, I fell sick in the middle of May, but held off getting checked out due to COVID and safety concerns. Eventually, when June started, I decided to get it checked out, and it turned out to be stage 2 breast cancer. I decided to tell my family 2 days ago since lockdown laws had been lifted. I invited everyone over, and when I told my brother and his wife, he said, "Okay, that's fine, because I have news to share too." So, our family gathered, and my brother decided to go first. He did ask me. He announced that his wife was 4 months pregnant. Of course, everyone was overjoyed. After about an hour, they asked about my news. I knew this was probably the last time in a long while that I'd have everyone together in person, so I told them. Naturally, the joyous atmosphere disappeared. The rest of the evening was filled with support for me and not much attention on my brother and his wife. My brother didn't seem to mind, as he was quite upset by my news, but I noticed his wife looked pretty upset and had distanced herself. So, I approached her and apologized for the timing. She told me I could have waited and shared the news over Skype since it was just stage 2, and let my brother and her have this moment with the family. I explained that I had called this meeting specifically for this reason, but she said she knew that my news would dampen everyone's mood. I told her she was being ridiculous, and I wanted to tell my family in person since they are my family after all. She burst into tears and demanded to go home, which my brother agreed to, though he seemed confused. He promised to come see me soon since he lives nearby. Later that evening, I got a message from him asking if I had told his wife that she wasn't part of the family and that I wanted all the attention on me because that's what she was upset about. The next day, my parents called to check on me, and my mom mentioned that my brother's wife had called them the previous evening, upset, telling them what she claims I said. She also accused me of being jealous because she's pregnant and trying to ruin her life. I explained what had actually happened, which has caused tension not only between his wife and me, but also between her and my parents. Now, she's blaming me for the fact that my parents aren't her biggest fans. My brother is torn but has been trying to talk to her, which only leads to more tears and further strain on their marriage. All this drama has made me wonder if I should have just called everyone instead, or told my brother that his news had to wait, even though that would have been selfish of me. I really wanted my family's support that day, but I'm starting to rethink whether it was worth all this drama and potentially causing more problems. So Reddit, AITA, edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to get so much lovely feedback. To think I was slightly scared to post this. Thank you all for the unwavering support, love, and hugs. I'm reading every single comment, and I really appreciate it. I will most definitely fight through. Thank you all so much. Just wanted to add a few points. When my brother told me he had news too, he was super excited and added it as a, "By the way, I'll announce mine too." He did apologize and admit afterward that if he had known what my news was, he would have held off on his, because right now, what's important is my recovery. He also admitted that he wrongfully assumed my news would automatically be good since I'm usually the happy, chirpy one. His wife wasn't too fond of this either. My brother's wife also had a miscarriage at the beginning of the year, which is why this pregnancy, I suppose, was extra special. I'm truly happy for them. I just wish she could understand, as one user pointed out, that this isn't a competition. I don't know why I couldn't tell him over the phone. We are really close, and I knew it would have crushed him. I couldn't pull him aside at the gathering either because he was the last to arrive. When he did, he quickly said, "Hey, OP, mind if I go first?" And I was frozen on the spot, so I said sure. It was pretty silly on my part. It's hard to explain that feeling where you're absolutely frozen, with a lump in your throat that prevents you from speaking. Even sharing the news in the first place was really difficult. Edit. Just to clarify, I'm not a saint, but my brother means a lot to me. That's exactly why his wife and I cleared the air before, because I wouldn't deliberately make his life hell by upsetting her. So, when I saw she was upset, I approached her. When she said I could have Skyped, I explained that I wanted to tell them in person since they're my family and would probably want to be there with me when I broke the news. I never once implied that she wasn't a part of it. My brother and parents know this. Update. Sorry, this is so late. There's been a lot going on this past month since the news came out. Since I've received tremendous support from Reddit, I thought it would only be fair to update you all on what happened. First and foremost, I've started treatment, which is one reason I couldn't update sooner. Thank you all for your well wishes. I plan on bouncing back as soon as I can. Anyway, I could see that my brother was under a lot of stress, so I finally sat him down to talk about it properly. He showed me a bunch of texts from his wife, telling him he was a terrible father for choosing me over his family. She said I was seeking attention and that nobody cared about her. What really got to me was that she told him to choose once and for all. If he picked me, he would lose her and their child. If he picked her, she didn't want me in their lives at all. I felt terrible, not only for him, but also because I knew I could have prevented this. I took the time to apologize for putting him in that position. If I had just pulled him aside sooner and given him a heads up, he would have understood. But my brother told me I shouldn't apologize because he should have been more considerate. He also mentioned that his wife would have probably still gotten mad at him, whether they gave the news that day or not. I decided to invite her over for coffee to sort things out. We spoke alone, and I asked her about everything. She was very cold and didn't really answer, so I started by apologizing. I told her that if I made her feel excluded from the family or that her pregnancy was less important, I was sorry. I explained that I should have given them a heads up so we could have avoided what happened, and that was my fault. But I also mentioned that the way she reacted and lied wasn't okay. She then started crying and vented about how angry she'd been. She said my brother always put me first, and they had been going through a rough patch. When he sided with me, it made her feel even more upset and lonely. She admitted to lying to my parents and brother, hoping they would show her more sympathy, and when they were cold toward her, she became even more upset. After hours of talking, she apologized for how she had been acting and said she wanted to move on from this. My brother came later, and they both went home. He texted me, saying they talked for hours and agreed to go to couples therapy. My parents are currently living with me and helping me tremendously, but they're still not happy with my sister-in-law. However, they promised to try to work things out. Things have finally seemed to calm down, and let's hope it stays that way. None of this would have been possible without the feedback you all gave me, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Edit. All of you are so kind, honestly, but I wanted to clarify that I'm no saint, nor am I selfless. I know that what happened wasn't entirely my fault. However, in order to focus solely on my recovery, I can't be stressed out about this whole situation and have all this tension around. Seeing my brother being put in that position and my SIL, as hurtful as she was, being upset and holding hatred can affect herself and the baby. I did what I could to fix things so that everyone could focus on being healthy and positive without holding any grudges. I know I certainly will. I know my SIL. She can be very stubborn and unreasonable. If I had left things in her hands, I'm 99% sure it would have resulted in much worse circumstances than if I put my hand forward. At least now I can focus on my recovery without any distress or toxicity. I'm human. I felt angry. I felt upset. Yes, I wanted to give her a piece of my mind, but doing so wouldn't help myself, her, my brother, or my family. It would only damage things further. This realization prompted me to let it all go and focus on positivity and my mental and physical health. Last edit. I spent all day on Reddit reading every little or big comment made, and honestly, I didn't know you could feel so much support from people you've never met. You are all amazing humans. Thank you for the upvotes, comments, and awards. I'll still read every single comment, but this will be my final edit. And for those who asked, I'm 24.